What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa, and I'm a Sierra Leonean American living here in West Africa. This is my last live from Ghana. As you can see, some things are a little different. And if you want to know why I'm happy to be leaving Ghana, then this is the video for you. Why I am happy to be leaving Ghana. And this is my last live from Ghana. So it has been bittersweet, and we're going to talk about it. So let's give it a little second for everyone to join. We are live on Instagram. We're live on Twitch. We're live on LinkedIn. And we are live on YouTube and Facebook as well. It looks like there was a connection problem with Twitter and LinkedIn, actually. So we're just live on YouTube, Facebook, and we're live on Instagram. All right, cool. So we got a bunch of people on Instagram live. We're going to talk about why I'm happy to be leaving Ghana. So if you want to join, the live on YouTube and just see what the comments are saying on YouTube, then you can click on the link in my description. And that'll take you to the profile, and then you can just join the live there. It has been crazy. I'm moving out this week. As many of you guys are aware, this is my last couple of days in Ghana. I was actually supposed to be leaving tomorrow, but due to some technical difficulties, I'm actually leaving the day after tomorrow. And so as of tomorrow, this bed won't be here. Those suitcases, that's what I'm traveling with. If you guys could see the room, it's pretty empty. That wardrobe is going tomorrow morning as of 7 a.m. Those of you who are watching on the Instagram live, I guess I can give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. Those bags are going with me. That wardrobe is going. This bed is going to be gone. Like everything you guys are looking at right now is going to be out of this house by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. It is going to be completely empty in this place. And I'm looking forward to the next stage in the next chapter. So many of you guys have been asking. I mean, not everyone was on the live last week. I'm not going back to the States. Although, I'm keeping my American citizenship, of course. But I will not be going back to the United States. And of course, I guess, before we even get into all of that, let me introduce myself for many of you who are new to the Instagram and new to YouTube. So my name is Joannis. I also go by Joe Hatagwa. I am a Sierra Leonean American. And up until this week, I've been living most of my time in Accra, Ghana. I am now going to be moving to Sierra Leone, which is, of course, where my family is from, my family heritage. So I'm going to be moving to my family's home country. And I will be there indefinitely. So this apartment that I'm in right now, I'm giving it up. And so I don't have an apartment to come back to, so there's no need for me to be here. So a couple of comments. Manelik is here. It says, peace. What's up, Manelik? Adrian from the Sound of Accra podcast said, it's sad to see you go, brother. Yes, I know. But I will be back to visit, just will be living full-time in Sierra Leone. Manelik says, you're one of my many inspirations to move to Ghana. Don't let that stop you from being inspired to move to Ghana. I'm still living on the continent. I'm still living in West Africa. I just won't be living in Ghana anymore. Okay, so, since tomorrow's a really early morning, I decided I wasn't going to put together a presentation. I'm not going to stay on really late today. We're going to make this one a pretty short live just to talk about where we are right now, how things are going this last week, because I like to give people insight into what it's like to make a major move like this. Like, I moved from the States and came here, and I'm going to do a vlog on this, but I brought a bunch of stuff with me from the States through a number of different trips. So I shipped stuff to Sierra Leone. And so when I would go back and forth to Sierra Leone, I'd always come back with an extra suitcase from Sierra Leone. Then from the States, I bought 5 different duffel bags from the States myself through the different trips that I made over the last year and a half. And so all of that stuff had to be shipped to Sierra Leone because that's going to be my country of residence for the foreseeable future. And so I want to mention to you guys that there are ways to ship stuff by ground or by air to Sierra Leone. And it also, they can ship to Nigeria. You can ship to Guinea, Gambia, Senegal, Ivory Coast. So there's a number of different places that the company that I'm using is called Malik Views Logistics. They are shipping my stuff, and the guy is Sierra Leonean, so that was good. So we were speaking Creole. Give me a chance to practice my Creole again before I make that trip. And by the way, if you guys haven't already, check out that Creole lesson that I did. It's funny. I did my best to try to speak Creole. I can speak in sentences, phrases, but full paragraphs and certain words, I still sound like an American. But anyway, so I shipped a bunch of stuff today. I'm shipping a bunch more stuff. I'm going to film a whole vlog around it, what that experience has been like, because it's been interesting, just preparing to move between Ghana and Sierra Leone. And those of you guys who've been following me for a while, there's Lenora. What's up, Lenora? What's up? Hello. Lenora saying hello from Brooklyn. What's up, Brooklyn? Actually, I met Lenora in Sierra Leone. So, I spent last year, and I mentioned this last live, but those of you who are new, I spent last year, all of 2022, 5 months in Sierra Leone, 4 months in Ghana, and then the rest of the year everywhere else. That's Europe and the United States. And it dawned on me that I've been saying I live in Ghana, but I've really been spending more time elsewhere. And so what I needed to do was actually have it reflect my actual movement, especially because I have free and affordable housing in Sierra Leone. I have much more opportunity for me there in terms of content creation, in terms of consulting, helping people get acclimated and get adjusted to Sierra Leone. There are plenty of people creating content in Ghana, and there are plenty of people helping people get acclimated in Ghana, but there aren't so many in Sierra Leone. So there's a wide open opportunity there. And as you guys know, I've done a couple of lives about the business community and some of the things lacking in Sierra Leone and how you can get ahead as a business owner there. And this just presented an opportunity for me to be able to be the go-to person for transitions from the West to West Africa, specifically to Sierra Leone. And for those of you who are getting your Sierra Leone citizenship through African ancestry and other ways, I can help you adjust, buy land, get a driver's license, open a bank account, all those different things that you might need to do if you're not doing it through the program that you're doing it through. I can assist with that since I've done all of that and I have a team in place that can help do that. So I just wanted to mention that is why it makes the most sense for me to move there. And that's why I'm excited to be leaving Ghana, because I'm looking forward to the opportunities that I have available to me in Sierra Leone. This isn't about me disliking Ghana, because, Ghana, I do love living in Ghana, and I'm made some great friends here and had some really interesting experiences and great experiences here in Ghana. But at the end of the day, this country has enough people doing the things that I'm looking to do and that I am doing. And there are other countries like my own that could use my talent and not only my talent, I shouldn't say, I feel like LeBron saying I'm taking my talents to South Beach, but I really mean more like the opportunity to bring my experience to Sierra Leone, right? And so that to me, I think it's more needed there than it is here. And so I'm excited to be doing that. A couple of comments. Let me just get into those really quickly before I move on to the next topic. Shoe Barb, the shoemaking lady, what's up? Says hello from South Carolina. Welcome, Barb, from South Carolina. Mr. London Boy for Life says, is there a diaspora group of people who live in Sierra Leone? There are, actually, and I'm in a group. And it has diaspora in the name, but there is a group of diasporans who are either Gullah Geechee or Black Americans who have traced their lineage back to Sierra Leone. They may be Gullah Geechee or otherwise, who are living in Sierra Leone. A couple of which who I've interviewed or will be interviewing. Some are subscribers and some follow along with this channel and my journey. And so I'm looking forward to sharing their stories with you guys. And I'll be able to share more of their stories once I get to Sierra Leone. Now, there's so many more people I can interview. There's so much more that I can tell, so many more stories that I can tell when I get there. So I'm really looking forward to that. So Mr. London Boy for Life, I hope that answers your question. Kevin Briggs says, peace, my brother, from Jamaica, New York. I hope one day we can link up on the continent one day. I hope so too. Shout out to Jamaica, Queens. I know somebody who lives in Jamaica, New York. Actually, yeah, one person. I knew a couple of people who lived there, but they've all now since moved. There's been a migration to Long Island from the folks who are from Jamaica, Queens. Mr. London Boy for Life says, Joe, you're going to put Sierra Leone on the map. And also, when Wode Maya revisits Sierra Leone soon, he will have you as a tour guide. Yes, that is the goal. Many of you guys might know or may have remember me talking about this. I actually met Wode Maya, and myself and a couple of my friends, two of which are co-founders in a nonprofit that I'm dealing with, that I have in Sierra Leone, which of course I'm going to be focused on when I get there. We talked to him about his visit, and funny enough, I shot a reaction video to one of the videos he did in Sierra Leone. So this reaction video was shot a while back. I still need to edit it and put it out, but I'm definitely going to put it out and I'm going to share it with you guys. But yeah, I look forward to him coming to Sierra Leone and I being his guide, because I do think, unfortunately, he didn't get the full scope of Sierra Leone that he'll be able to get once he comes this time, whenever he comes back to Sierra Leone. And of course, I hope to be there and be able to be his guide, because I'm really looking forward to showing him around and taking him to all the things that he didn't get a chance to see. And Miss Trudy too, if she comes. So I met them both at the same time, and they're both very great people. And I'm looking forward to sharing the Sierra Leone experience with them. All right, cool. So and a couple of things too. I do want to acknowledge that there are other Sierra Leonean content creators. I want to be very clear on that. I don't want to make it seem like I'm going to be the first and only. There are many that are there, and there are folks that actually have a larger following than I do on YouTube, right? And so those folks are they are actually working to kind of build their channels and build their platforms, but it's not easy, and I think it requires a contingent of folks to really help us progress. And so part of my goal when I get to Sierra Leone is to meet with the different content creators. I'm actually in a WhatsApp group with a bunch of them right now. And I really want to push the idea of us continuing to collaborate, cross-pollinate our audiences, and help each other grow. I also, through my journey, I've met people who have substantial YouTube channels and platforms and learned a lot from them. And I'd like to pass that on to the folks in Sierra Leone, because I've gotten a chance to talk to people with firsthand knowledge who have really big channels, people who have 100,000 subscribers or more, have talked me through how they got there. And I'd like to be able to pass that knowledge on. And then also, of course, with my Instagram page, I've figured out how to grow an Instagram following. And so I'm just looking to have my YouTube follow suit. And on that note too, I do want to mention that on all platforms, we've now reached over 100,000 followers and subscribers across all platforms. That's TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And so I'm really proud of that milestone. And I'm looking forward to more things to come as I focus full time on this platform. Also, separately from that, I am going to be offering advertising on the platform. And that's going to be through a couple different ways, through just individual posts. If you want to do posts on the platform, if you want to do collaborations and partnerships, I'll make that available as well. And I have partnerships that I'll do there. And then I'm also willing to create marketing campaigns for brands and for influencers who want to get out to my audience. My audience is a very diverse audience around the world, mostly in the United States, Canada, Europe, and a couple of parts in Africa, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, and Sierra Leone. And so I want to make sure, and Ghana too. And I want to make sure that I use this platform to share other people's stories and allow them to do so through advertising. So I will definitely be doing that in the coming weeks and months. And probably next week, I will be presenting the full package of everything. What I'm offering to a company right now who wants me to fly somewhere, we'll talk about it, and do some things with them. And they also want to do some marketing on the platform. So I'm using that as a case study and also too as a template so that I can express to you all what is available to you if you're interested. Another reason why I'm excited and happy to be going is I finally have, settled on the next phase of the Authentic African brand and what we're doing. And I feel like I've had a lot of distractions here in Ghana, and when I get to Sierra Leone, it'll allow me to focus a lot more, and it'll also allow me to get more content and meet with people that I'm looking to meet with. Like for example, in Sierra Leone, I've met with people who are in the tourism board. I've met with owners of incubators and venture capital firms. I've met with the mayor. I've met the minister of tourism, right? These are all people here in Ghana who I have not met. The equivalent to those folks in Ghana I have not met. And so in Sierra Leone, it gives me opportunity to be able to interview these folks, to work on projects with these folks, and really help advance Sierra Leone, and at least work on bringing it more to the global stage, right? And so, I'm working on a couple of different things now in the background that I'll share when, they're ready and the time comes. I've learned that lesson. And so when I do, you guys will be able to see, okay, this really made sense for him to make that move from Ghana to Sierra Leone. It doesn't make a lot of sense for many people who live in the diaspora and aren't as familiar with Sierra Leone, and they're more familiar with Ghana. But for those of you who are subscribers to this channel and followers on Instagram, you might have seen that I've been posting a lot more from my interviews from folks who live in Sierra Leone, and you'll see why it's so important for us to shine a light on it. All right, cool. So there's a couple more comments and questions, so let's get through some of those. Mosi Main says, Mike K is that dude. I actually don't know who Mike K is. You got to let me know who that is. Mr. London Boy for Life said, is Sierra Leone cheaper than Ghana? It can be, and it is in general. I mean, yes. To answer your question in general, yes, it is cheaper. And especially if you know where to stay, and for similar amenities, it can be cheaper. There are areas and there are places that are a little more expensive in terms of what you get for what you pay for. But like I have a friend who owns an apartment in Cantonments, and she's looking to charge, I think, like $2,500 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And you can find 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms in Sierra Leone for, you can find 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. I have a friend who has a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom for, how much was it? $300 a month, but no generator. So if she would have bought her own generator, she would have had a place for basically $300 a month. So yeah, I mean, it definitely can be cheaper. There's a lot of more cheaper options. And it's like, if you get your own generator, then it's definitely more cheaper options, because you can get much more space for much cheaper than you would here in Ghana. In Accra specifically, I should say. And I'm talking about Freetown versus Accra, capital city versus capital city. All right, Mr. London Boy for Life says, Taft Global is building affordable houses in Sierra Leone. Have you heard about them? I have heard about them. And I'm looking to meet with those folks, as a matter of fact. Some of the other folks who follow the channel have been mentioning them. So my goal is to meet with them and to share their story with this audience. Jose Cruz, long time no speak. Welcome back. Are you thinking at all about tours? I've thought about tours. I think what I'd rather do, to be honest with you, is to be a conduit to tours. So I can go on tours with people, but I'm not sure I want to do tours. I'm not as passionate about doing tours. And so there's a way that I can be an affiliate of people who are doing tours. So I've already been talking to some folks who do tours in other countries, and I'm looking to be an affiliate of theirs. And so I'll be able to join you guys on trips and tours, but I don't know if I'll be doing tours myself. I'm a little bit more passionate about building things out on the internet and building out digital products. And so I want to build out, ultimate guides to moving to Sierra Leone, travel guides between all the different countries I've been to and the things that I've learned, the places I would recommend you go, merchandise around the Authentic African channel, also building this up as a media platform. As you guys are starting to notice, there are a lot more news stories that I'm focusing on in Africa and the diaspora, and that's intentional, right? The goal is to really build a media platform around the Authentic African brand. And then, of course, the e-commerce store as well. And so all of that is being worked on in the background. And I know that it's taken longer than I initially anticipated. And that is a lesson that I've learned in the last 4 months, is that when it comes to building a business and doing something in Africa, don't mention it until you have already done test runs. Like I've mentioned and done other businesses before where I didn't have to do a test run because logistically I had everything figured out. There weren't any surprises. And what I've discovered here is with my consulting business that I'm doing here in Ghana, with the the importing stuff from America to West Africa, and with the launch of my e-commerce store, all three of those things have been delayed due to outside factors. And when it's launched, and when all three of these are launched, I will absolutely go into the detail about why they were delayed. But I just want you guys to know that these things are all coming. Merch is coming. Merch is definitely coming. And just working on some fonts and some things. You guys are gonna like the merch too. Trust me, you're gonna like it. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. It's going to be centered around Moors, right? Because Authentic African and the Moors in Europe, just think it's going to be centered around that. And so if you know anything about that, then you'll know that they ruled modern day Spain and other parts of modern day Europe for 700 years, right? And so there goes the light. So I'm doing merch around that. I'm also doing other merch too around the Authentic African brand. So I'm definitely going to be launching that soon. But as I mentioned, once it's launched, then we'll talk about all the challenges that I had getting it off the ground. But I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys too. So, all right, there's a couple questions. So let me see if I can get to them. So Miss P's here. What's up, Miss P? She said, hello, Joe, and hey, everyone. Mr. London Boy for Life says, what are you going to miss the most about Ghana? Great question. What am I going to miss the most about Ghana? So I'm going to miss Uber and Bolt to get around places easily. I am going to miss that. I'm going to miss some of my favorite chill spots, and I'm going to miss some of my people, my boy Chima and Luke, great times with those folks going to Osu and, going to Honeysuckle. So I'm gonna miss those times watching the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fights. So hanging out with those guys, hanging out with Isaac, who is in the world of investing and introducing me to the investment community here and building with him about the world of investments. My two friends, my Sierra Leonean American friends living here in Ghana, Massa and Kenya. The Three Musketeers, as we have been now coined, because of Massa, that's what she mentioned. So I'm going to miss them. So it's really going to be some of the people, you know what I'm saying? And there's some other people too, but I'll keep them under wraps. They know who they are and they're watching, so you know who you are. I'll miss those folks too. But they're definitely, it's definitely going to be more the people than anything else. I think I've you know who else, by the way? Ivy Prosper. Although I haven't seen her often, Ivy has been a big help with me going live. I don't know if you guys remember, but my first ever live was with Ivy Prosper. And she's really been helpful with a couple of different things, especially with that first live, because I didn't know what I was doing. And so she walked me through how to use StreamYard, the platform that I'm using to this day. She walked me through it. She was on my first live, and I think she did 2 subsequent lives. I've gotten a chance to interview her. She's interviewed me. So I appreciate Ivy. And no, there is no Uber in Sierra Leone, Ivy. None whatsoever. I wish. No Uber, no Lyft. There was a company that was there, and now the name is escaping me, Flash Vehicles. And they were a rental car company that had those NGO SUVs. I can't remember what those SUVs are called, what brand they are and what make and model they are, but and they were charging way too much. It was like New York Uber cost. And so it just didn't make sense for the average person or even the diasporans living there. And so they're pretty much out of business. But yeah, there are no ride sharing services in Sierra Leone currently, unfortunately. So I've been taking a lot of bikes when I was in Sierra Leone. Now, of course, I have access to a driver, which will be great because I'll be living with one of my co-founders who has access to a driver 24/7. And then I'm looking to purchase a vehicle by the end of this year. So, and I'll have a driver that can drive me around. I also used to use my father's car, but I just, go in the boat to get the car, bringing it all the way down to Freetown, and then it keeps breaking down and running into issues. So I've just decided I need to find another mode of transportation. But Mr. London Boy for life, that's a great question. What am I going to miss most about Ghana? I mean, I think I covered most of it. Yeah, for sure. Jose Castillo is asking, which country has a more advanced social life? Okay, so here's how I'll put it. In Sierra Leone, we like enjoyments. Enjoyments in Sierra Leone is big, right? So we punch above our weight, as they say, in Sierra Leone as it comes to enjoyment. But in terms of the sheer number of places, I mean, for context, right? Sierra Leone is a country of between 7 and 9 million people. Ghana is a country of about 30 million people, right? So just in terms of the size of the countries, right? You have a country in Ghana that is much bigger square footage wise and the number of people. So in terms of options for nightlife and social life, Ghana is much more vast. Sierra Leone, I would say, is the quantity is lower, but the quality could be higher, especially because the group of diasporans living there, it's a small community. So when we get out and we get out together and we move in groups and in bunches. And so we enjoy all of our time together. And so it's a community of folks. And so I would say, especially from my own personal experience, that's a group where my different friend groups all know each other and we all get together and we all end up at the same events. But of course, Ghana's bigger. They have much more in terms of options, right, available. It's just a much bigger country. But I enjoy my social life in Sierra Leone more actually than I do in Ghana. Mr. London Boy for life says, someone needs to come and invest in Uber and taxis in Sierra Leone because transport is really a problem, especially Freetown. Yeah, I agree. I think that the thing about ride sharing services is, in general, what they do is they either have a country manager or they have a regional manager, like a West Africa regional manager. But you have to have a system, a logistical system, in order to make it work, right? So either you need to buy a bunch of vehicles, bring the vehicles to Sierra Leone, train a bunch of drivers and have them drive, or you do this. Uber would be smart to hire a bunch of the rental car services and have those folks use their vehicles as Uber and Lyft. And then, of course, they need to ensure that most businesses and organizations are up on Google Maps and Waze, because that's what Uber connects with in order to utilize the GPS, right? And so if they were to do all of that, I think it could be a pretty successful company. But you just have to kind of start small and grow it. I mean, I would be interested in doing that if Uber were to want me to do that. But yeah, that could definitely happen. Ivy saying, much love, Joe. Thanks, of course. Thank you. I appreciate you, Ivy. Marquise Reed says, hello. What's up, Marquise? Or is it Marcus? Let me know. Is it Marcus or Marquise? Sorry. Let me know if it's Marcus. Lenora says, do you recommend shipping a car? Yeah, I recommend shipping a car because you got the Carfax. You know what I mean? If you could do Carfax on a vehicle, I definitely would recommend shipping a car. And some people buy in like Dubai, ship to Sierra Leone. For whatever reason, shipping from Dubai to Sierra Leone is not too difficult. But obviously, I'd go to Dubai, test drive the car, take someone who's like a mechanic to look at the car. But I definitely recommend shipping, because even though it might be a higher upfront cost to ship from the US, shout out to people calling me while I'm live. So although it may cost you more, like an upfront cost to ship your car from the US or from anywhere in the West to Sierra Leone. You'll save in longer term costs and fees because of the not knowing the history of a vehicle. There's just a lot associated with it. And I will say it gets very, very, very hot in Sierra Leone. It's like 86 to like 90 degrees, kind of like year round. And so what I've seen for people is that their vehicles overheat a lot. And so preferably you bring a vehicle in from somewhere else that's been serviced, that's had maintenance done, that has all its parts, its original parts. Because what you'll see in Sierra Leone a lot is that people use interchangeable parts. They have like the salon way for fixam, right? So they have different ways that they make little adjustments with different parts and things like that. And that works for now, but it kind of is like a Band-Aid solution. It doesn't always work for the long-term health of the vehicle. And so if you acquire a vehicle in Sierra Leone, in general, you run the risk of finding vehicles that have those issues that you may not find out to further down the line. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend shipping. That's a long way to answer your question, but I hope it answers it. Jose is saying, aha, to my, the more advanced social life. Yes. Miriam says, why is it that all these people who gain citizenship through DNA are living and doing business in other African countries than Sierra Leone? It's a great question. Really good question. And I have an answer. So, first I will say this. I had a whole video, 2 videos on challenges doing business in Sierra Leone. And so I would definitely recommend you check those out. So there's a couple things, right? So it's 2 sides of the same coin, double-edged sword. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm mixing metaphors and getting them mixed up, whatever. It is what it is. You guys understand what I mean. So when you're looking at Sierra Leone, there is the opportunity to be one of few and to be the best, right? And you can be like kind of a monopoly or an oligarchy of a few companies that are doing something and, you know, maximize your revenue within the market. But the challenge there is that the market is a smaller market, right? You're, like I mentioned before, it's a country of between 7 and 9 million people. And so, and if the average person makes $50 per month or less, then that means that the average person in the country cannot be customers of most of the businesses that people are trying to start here on the continent. And then on top of all of that, you have challenges getting the businesses off the ground and going because a lot of the websites, in order to figure out how to pay your taxes, how to get your documents and things, aren't up to date or difficult to find. Sometimes it's just a PDF online that you have to download, and then you can't figure out what to do further than that. And so you kind of have to have someone who's a local that can really navigate that for you. Whereas in other countries on the continent, in general, they have websites where you can just kind of do the research yourself on how to set things up, right? So it tends to be a little bit easier. Also, you know, some people are just getting their citizenship in Sierra Leone to get their ECOWAS passport so that they can go to other places in West Africa more freely. And it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, you still have to do some investments in Sierra Leone, and every 5 years you do have to come back to renew. So it does force you to have to come back to the country. And so there is going to be at least a contingent of folks that have to come back. So every 5 years, that same contingent of folks who've gotten their citizenship, in order to maintain it, they'll have to come back and renew their passport. And so ideally, that'll continue to get people to come back more and do more investing. But also, I think a big part of that too is there aren't a lot of people like myself really advocating for people to stay in Sierra Leone, do business in Sierra Leone, and are making it easy to find out how to do that through consulting and through a social media platform. And that's another reason why I think it's really important for me to be there, because it'll allow me to continue to push the narrative of Sierra Leone. You know, I rep Sierra Leone all the time, as you can see. And so for me, I think it's really important to do that. And there aren't a ton of people doing that. And so I don't blame them, to be honest with you. There are a number of different factors that I think would contribute to them doing business elsewhere. And I think it's just up to us to change that, right? I'm working on changing the narrative. So for sure. Mariam says, great, you're a pioneer. Thank you. Appreciate it. You know what they say though. You know what? I'm about to start mixing metaphors. Forget it. Let's just move on. All right. So Mr. London Boy for Life says, is Sierra Leone hotter than Ghana? Is it hotter than Ghana? I wouldn't say it's hotter than Ghana. No, I would say it's probably around the same temperature. In general, it's probably about the same temperature. I don't know. I think actually Ghana might, Accra specifically, might actually be closer to the equator than Freetown is. So it might be actually slightly hotter in Ghana. If I'm not mistaken, Tema is the closest inhabitable city to the equator, right? The center of the world, I should say, right? And Ivy, correct me if I'm wrong, but so I think it may be a little bit hotter in Accra, but it is very hot in Sierra Leone. And I think one of the things you have to keep in mind is facilities to keep things cool, your vehicle, just parking structures and things like that. Most people park outside. There's not a lot of shade, especially in the capital city. You're parked outside. There aren't a lot of parking structures or a lot of parking lots with coverings. And so it can be really, really hot. Your vehicles get really hot. Just think about anywhere in the US when you've opened the car door when it's been really, really hot that day. That's what it's going to be like. All right, there's a couple more questions. Let's get to those. Let's get to that. Mr. London Boy for Life says, I've never been to Africa. Any advice on dealing with the hot weather? Wear shorts, short sleeve shirts. Depending on how melanated you are, sunblock, sunscreen, especially if you're going to be out for extended periods of time in the hot sun. Definitely do that. I actually got sunburned a couple weeks back, which is funny because that just shows that there's some kind of European in my DNA going back especially on the Creole side. But yeah, I got sunburned a couple weeks back because I was standing out in the sun thinking I was good, and I wasn't. All right, so Mariama Forbes, as a Sierra Leonean who spent some time in Ghana, is saying Ghana is way hotter. There you go. I couldn't tell you because I always forget. I'm hot everywhere I go. But to answer your question though, Mr. London Boy for Life, I would say wear shorts, wear short sleeve shirts, wear white. Even though Mariama and I did a 10 things you should know before coming to Sierra Leone, and I also did it with Ghana. And I said, don't wear white. Wear lighter, brighter colors. Try not to wear too much black during the day. Try to reflect the light, not absorb the light and the heat. So that would be my recommendation for sure. So Alexi Tillery said, sorry, is the rainy season worse in Sierra Leone than Ghana? It is. The rainy season in Sierra Leone is a little bit more aggressive in Sierra Leone than in Ghana. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate as to why, but I've been here during the rainy season twice now, 2 years. I've been here during the rainy season for extended periods of time. Last year during the rainy season, I was actually only here like a total of a month and a half, but the year before I was here during the rainy season for 3 months. And then I've been in Sierra Leone during the rainy season, and in Sierra Leone, it rains. The rainy season, I feel like is a little bit longer in terms of the consistent rains. So yeah, I would say it's a little bit worse in Sierra Leone. So someone new from Instagram, Ibrahim Traveler says, what inspired you to move to Africa, please? So what inspired me to move to Africa were a number of different things. It was time for me to focus on things that were offering value to the world and offering value to folks who could use it. Before I left the States, before my last job in the United States was at Hulu. I don't know how many are familiar with Hulu, but it's a streaming service majority owned by Disney. And it's, I don't know, I think they have almost 100 million subscribers now. But when I got there, they only had 9 million subscribers. And I was there for 4 years. And it was cool. It was great for my ego, but everything I do here is great for my soul. I get more out of what I'm doing here. I'm doing a lot more for free. Listen, if you guys would have met me in the States, I wasn't doing anything for free. You had to pay me for everything. And, when you do what you love, you never have to work a day in your life. And being here on the continent has allowed me to be more effective in the consulting that I do in the contractual work that I do, and allows me to work with companies that I'm way more excited about working with. And so that was a big reason why I decided to move. Now, I didn't know exactly how it was going to turn out, and things are still unfolding as I go along. But for sure, I mean, the reason why I moved was to have an impact, right? I want to do good and do well. In the United States, I was doing well financially, but I wasn't really doing anything good for people. And once I moved to the continent, I've been doing a lot of good for people, and I'm working on doing well financially. You know, as we ascend through new tax brackets. Okay. Any other questions on Instagram? There seems to be a couple. I'd love to see some Sierra Leone vlogs and for you to visit places. Absolutely will, Mr. Is it Mr. Yaga for Life? I will absolutely be doing that. Yes. Many more vlogs are coming. Trust me. The vlogs are coming. There's going to be a lot of vlogs. All right. Anything else? There's a lot of people joining Instagram. Build Africa of tomorrow. Yes. So I've been trying to move and get everything straight. When I get to Sierra Leone, we definitely will talk. I know that you've been trying to reach me, and it's been crazy. But don't worry. I know that we're meant to connect, and we will connect when I get to Sierra Leone. All right. So, so with the center of the world, Ivy saying, yes, Tema, closest to the center of the world where equator and prime meridian cross at 0 degrees longitude and 0 degrees latitude. That's what it's called, the prime meridian. Yeah, so the equator and the prime meridian at 0 degrees latitude and 0 degrees longitude. That is, Tema is the closest to, I mean, obviously outside of being in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Got to get my geography right. Tema is the closest place. So there you go. Alexi Tillery says, is there high-speed landline internet access available for business owners who need reliable internet in Sierra Leone, no matter the cost? Yes, there is. Unlimited, etc. Yes, there is. There absolutely is. I know 2 people who pay the business version in their own personal homes, actually. So yeah, there is. And I'm actually considering paying for that as well. Because as you can see, I've had some internet issues here in Ghana, and I want the quality of my internet connection to be top tier. And so there are some options in Sierra Leone, depending on where you are in Freetown, because there are certain companies that don't go to every part. But yeah, there are options. Haji Ba says, hey, Joe, Sierra Leone has many opportunities. If you have the right network of people, the social life is very good as well. Absolutely. That's what I was saying. Yes, I love my social life more in Sierra Leone than I even do here. Now, Mariama Forbes says, do not go during rainy season if it's your first time. It rains bullets. It is scary, but after a few weeks, you'll adapt. But make during you're staying in a rainproof house. Oh, make sure during your stay, you're staying in a rainproof house or a hotel. Yeah, so Mariama really does not like she's raining bullets. If you guys watch our 10 things you should know before coming to Sierra Leone, Mariama made it very clear the rain was crazy. I don't find it as crazy, but I've also lived in Jacksonville, Florida for a year, and I'm used to torrential downpours. I've also spent some time down there in different times throughout the years, because that is where some of my family lives. And so I would say I don't find it an issue. I was also in Seattle when it was crazy torrential downpours there too. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of used to it, but Mariama lives in London, so I guess. But it is a different thing. It does come down pretty heavy during the rainy season, and you do want to make sure you have a rainproof location, of course. No leaks. Tim Black says, crazy question, but I love television. Is it possible to start a channel in Ghana or Sierra Leone? Anything's possible, yes. I mean, so there are streaming services. There's also DSTV. You can have a network technically if you talk to the folks at DSTV. But starting a channel is not as easy as you might think, of course. I mean, whether that's in the States or that's here on the continent of Africa. This is speaking as someone who worked at Hulu for 4 years. But yeah, so yes, to answer the questions, technically yes. But how difficult is it is a whole other question, and I don't have the answer to that. But you want to, if you want, I would definitely say look into it. Mr. London Boy for Life says, any advice for someone young like myself wanting to move to Sierra Leone? Yes, the first piece of advice is visit a couple times first, figure out where you want to live, figure out how you're going to be generating income. And if you have those two things, then everything else will kind of work itself out. But you definitely need to know where you're going to live, and you need to know how you're going to be making money. I would also say you want to make sure you come with an open mind, and you need to come understanding that there are ways that things are done in different countries on the continent, and you're going to have to go with the flow. You cannot swim against the current. Go with the flow. Figure out how to navigate your own path. Set your sail, as you will, if I'm going to keep the metaphor going. But you're going to have to go with the flow. Ivy Prosper says, rainy season in the eastern region of Ghana is far worse than Greater Accra. There you go. So that answers that question, because that's a good point. I've only actually lived in Accra. I've never actually lived in any other part of the country of Ghana. So my experience in Accra has been one thing, but if the eastern region, as Ivy is saying, is far worse. So I guess if you're going to compare, you'd have to compare the countries as a whole. And I wouldn't know the best answer to that, but we have an answer here. Tim Black says, are there gated communities in Sierra Leone? Because I hate living behind bars. There are gated communities in Sierra Leone, and they do still put bars on the windows a lot of time. So, I mean, as you can see here in Ghana, I am in an apartment complex that has security and a gate and a 10-foot wall. And the first, second, and the third floor all have these bars on the windows. They come standard. Now, you could take them off. These here can be taken off. They can actually be unscrewed. But in Sierra Leone, a lot of times it's like built into the cement. They actually build into the cement, and then they put mastic and stuff over it. So it's like solidly in there. But you can always, depending on if you're having a house built, you can have the house built, especially in a gated community. If you're having a house built, you can have it built in a way where you just have a deep windowsill, and you can have it installed or uninstalled if you want to, like they did here. So like if I wanted to, which I didn't realize till much later, I could have unscrewed the bars off these windows because it is a bit of an eyesore. But because most of the time the drapes were closed, you probably never even noticed that they were there, because usually the drapes are closed, but the drapes are gone because they're already packed in the box because they're getting ready to go. Alexi Tillery says, if we have more detailed questions, do you have consultation sessions available? Sorry if you've answered this already. No, it's a great question. I do have consultations available, and either next week or the week after, I will be launching the consultation services. And so you will be able to sign up for consultations. And I am also going to be doing a subscription service where you can join. We'll decide what it is. Patreon, probably more likely Patreon, maybe. Yeah, more likely Patreon, because OnlyFans has that negative connotation. But I will have a subscription service, and you will be able to join that subscription service, and we'll be able to do like detailed questions and answers for people. People can come on the live, ask specific questions, and you could do like live consultations if you want to do them in front of other people. If you don't want to pay for one-on-one consulting, you can come with your questions, and I'll do the research and come back and answer those questions if I don't have the answers to those questions right then and there. But I'll do that for a subscriber. So I am working to do that. There will be a subscription service that is all part of the plan. Give me a month or two before we launch it. But yes, there will be consultations. Absolutely. And there will also be a subscription service that you can sign up for. All right. No Narrative says, hey, Joe, I can't wait to get to Rwanda, South Africa, and Senegal. The planning for me is the biggest issue between my job and my business. It's really time consuming. It feels like it'll never happen. Yeah. I will say it makes it difficult. Yes. Like your job allows you to afford it, but then they also make you take time off to go, right? And so to make these trips, you kind of have to do them all as individual trips. It's kind of tough to do them all at once because you're probably going to need like 2 months to go to these 3 locations, right? Rwanda and South Africa aren't as far away from each other as Senegal, for instance. Senegal is all the way here in West Africa. Rwanda and South Africa are kind of in the same general region. But yeah, I mean, I totally get that. Trust me. I mean, this was one of my issues when I worked at Hulu. We had an unlimited vacation. We had what was it called? Unlimited vacation benefits. And however, my boss was always like, you can't go for longer than a week at a time. So I'd be gone for basically like 11 days, and you have to factor in a day each for travel, or even 2 days each, kind of, because you got to get to Seacoast, Seabird, then you got to get to the airport, and then you got to travel all the way there, and the same thing coming in. So I really only have like 9 days in Sierra Leone each time I would visit, and so that became annoying. And so now I can go as long as I want. So I definitely understand, and so if you can move to remote work, that's the ideal scenario. So then that way that allows you to be able to be wherever you want, as long as you just work on their hours. But yeah, I totally get that. That was a big issue for me, and it got in the way a lot. My job got in the way. It was funding it, and it allowed me to buy land, cash, because I was getting paid well. So that was a trade-off for me, right? Is the income had to be traded off for the freedom. Now, eventually we'll get the time freedom and the financial freedom to match. But yeah, I totally get it. All right. Jose Cruz says, do you know where you're going to stay? Are you going to do a video about the cost? Yes, I do know where I'm going to stay. For the first time in a long time, I'm actually going to have a roommate. And I know that sounds crazy, but this is not for longer than a few months before I finally move into my own property, or maybe even another separate unit. But until I get a car and until I have a place that is viable for living, I'm going to have a roommate for a couple of months. So I'll be paying just around $200 to $300 a month all in where I'm staying. Yeah. So yeah, 2-bedroom. So yeah, okay. Tim Black says, I'm worried about healthcare on the continent, especially since the leaders go to Europe and Asia for healthcare. It's a good point. And this actually has come up on previous lives. People get a little bit offended when you talk about the quality of healthcare. And look, okay, let me say 2 things. One, there are 2 different ways to look at healthcare, right? There's holistic health, right? And it's the food you eat, right? That's one thing. Right? Because, the best medicine is preventative medicine, and the best preventative medicine is what you consume. However, there are certain things that they haven't figured out how to handle with holistic medicine, because what you've consumed that has given you those things require the sciences and the medical advancements to kind of fix some of those things, or at least to combat them. For instance, there are just certain things that you just can't fix here. And it's especially what I've seen in Sierra Leone. People tend to leave to go do things like have babies, like get appendix taken out, get their tonsils taken out. There are also people who actually do it in Sierra Leone too, and this totally can happen. Like I had a friend who broke her wrist. She had it set. No anesthesia, no nothing. They were just like, boy. And they just reset it and then x-rayed it. And she was in a lot of pain, and we were just talking about it. So that is one thing that can happen. And so the healthcare, there is a healthcare system, and you can get healthcare here. I do know that a lot of Sierra Leoneans tend to come to Ghana if they can. I personally know a doctor that has practiced in the UK for 20 years. And another one that practiced in the UK for 30 years, or in the US for 30 years. And so I was going to that practice here in Ghana. But like I had knee surgery, and I don't care if I was in London or if I was in Australia, I would have gone to Beverly Hills to get the knee surgery. So it doesn't matter if I'm in the West or if I'm in West Africa. There are certain things that I'm going to the best of the best. I don't spare cost when it comes to cutting me open. So I had knee surgery, and I went to the same person who did Russell Westbrook's knee surgery. So like that was for me and Russell Westbrook's an NBA player who you would never know that he's had, I think, 2 knee surgeries because of the way he plays. And he just had 2 30-point games back to back in the last like week and a half or whatever. And the guy's over 30, and he's had 2 knee surgeries. So yeah, for me, when it comes to like cutting me open, I'm going to the best of the best, and that means that I'm going to do that in the States. So don't shoot the messenger. When people ask those questions, that's what I say. I do have friends who go to local doctors for checkups. They have a primary care physician, but if they're having any major surgery, they definitely go to the States. A friend of mine right now, her mother's in the States right now, dealing with a major ailment, and she went to the States to get it handled. So yeah, just to answer the question. Alexi Tillery says, my uncle travels from Freetown to Ghana for healthcare. That's what a lot of people do. Lenora says, land appears to be more expensive in Sierra Leone than Ghana. I think it depends on where. That can be true. The land plot is smaller in Sierra Leone. Yeah, I think it depends on like who you're talking to, what they determine as a plot of land, because that's also been interesting to me. I bought a little under 2 plots of land in Freetown, which I'm told by the people who I'm buying land from in Bo-Kenema area, it's actually bigger there than what. So I don't know. I think it depends on the chief who you're buying the land from and how they decide to determine how much this land, the size of the land, and all of that. And it also depends on where you're buying land too. So yeah, it also depends on where you're buying land and who you're buying land from. Because we just bought 3 acres of land for about $3,600 in the Bo-Kenema region. But I also bought 2 plots of land almost for $12,000 in the Freetown area. So I think it depends on where you are and you know who you're buying from. But yeah, it can be more expensive for sure, especially for what you're getting. So that makes sense. Haji Ba says they have private hospitals in Sierra Leone that are good but very expensive for the locals. Okay, there you go. All right, cool. So there are a couple more things that I wanted to talk about. So the moving process has been interesting. So all of my stuff has been purchased. So I showed you guys before the wardrobe that's over here to the left, and I'm going to do a vlog on all this stuff as it's going, so you'll see it. But the wardrobe, the bed, my dining room tables and chairs, this desk that I'm sitting on right now, everything is. I had a kind of like a fire sale. I basically put it up on my WhatsApp status. I got a lot of inquiries, and many people were like, oh, you know, give me a day or two to come see it. And one person who's in real estate, shout out to Ghana Bound, just said they'll take it all. And so they purchased all of it for staging of the houses and apartments that they have. So it worked out, and I'm really excited to have said that it's all gone. It's all gone. And so it's all accounted for and paid for. It's not all gone yet because clearly it's still here. The next time I do a live, you guys won't see it, so you guys will have to look out for the vlog, and I'll let you know when that vlog is coming out. But yeah, so yeah, it's all accounted for and it's all been purchased. Lenora is looking to buy land. BUI, got it. Buy land in Sierra Leone. Yeah, I definitely recommend that you do. The land is going up in value. A bunch of people who bought land in Lunge 5 years ago, 10 years ago are loving it right now because now they're reselling that land to other people at quadruple and quintuple the prices. So yeah, I would definitely say buy land. You know, as Sierra Leone becomes more densely populated, you know, obviously the price of the value of land is going to go up, and the more people are aware of it, the more people who are coming to visit, you know, just the law of supply and demand. If you have the land, you can sell the land. And so I definitely recommend buying it. Liz Z says, just tuning in. You're on your way to Sierra Leone? I am, Liz. Yes. In less than 48 hours, I will have landed and I will be in my new apartment in Sierra Leone. Yes. Or my new place of residence. It's not a new apartment, but it'll be my new place of residence. All right. So a couple of things too. So if you guys are looking to learn Creole, many of you are, we've talked about this before. I did some Creole lessons. I'm putting clips out because it's a 42-minute video. It was a long video. I did it with Bintu Sise. She's a YouTuber, content creator in Sierra Leone. And her and I sat down and we went through a number of key phrases. The same thing I did with Tree here in Accra, which, by the way, I didn't walk out of this country learning Tree. So that's on me. But with Creole, I did a Creole lesson. And we did everything from greetings, common phrases, common questions and answers, And so I went through, and those are all in different sections. And then I also have clips of those. So if you don't watch the whole video and you want to see greetings or common questions, those clips are coming this week. So I did that. I also did an interview with a young lady named Amina Kone, who is also a content creator. We did why she moved from Saudi Arabia to Sierra Leone. So we got a chance to talk to her. Prior to that, I did a video on what it was like, the 5 changes. So the 5 updates to the 10 things I wish I knew before coming to Sierra Leone that I did with Mariama Forbes. I did another one with a young lady named Veronica. And so her and I did the 5 updates in Sierra Leone. So you guys know. So you definitely check that out. And this week I'm doing an interview with the manager of Pearl Hotel, and we're going to do a tour of the penthouse. So the interview with the manager of Pearl Hotel is going to be out on Wednesday. I need to edit that video and upload it, and the clips. So wish me luck, because I got a lot of work to do between now and then. I got a bunch of stuff I need to do. And then also we're going to do the tour this weekend. So if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, definitely check it out. Liz is saying safe travels. Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, excuse me. Okay, cool. So we're over an hour. I did say I wanted to keep this short. Let me know if there's any other questions you guys have. If you guys have more questions, definitely let me know. I'm happy to answer your questions. You know, I always stay on to answer your questions, but I do have a very early morning, because between 6:30 and 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, they are coming to pick up all this stuff. So the wardrobes, the beds, everything. And so it's going to be a really early morning for me. Haji Ba says construction boom in housing is taking place in Freetown and the surrounding areas. Everywhere there's construction going on. That's true. And I always say, if you see a lot of construction happening, that is the sign of a growing city. Miami is a city that's like that. New York is a city that's like that, right? Where there's always construction happening. Especially Miami. You notice it's been, and I the first time I went to Miami was 2006. And then I went again in 2008 and 9, and I've been like once since. But when you go there, you see all these high rises being built. And Sierra Leone is similar in its own version of that, where you see a lot of construction happening. And so that means that people are buying land. There is demand for land and demand for housing. So if you can buy, and if you can hold on to it, and then eventually you can sell it, because the value is going to go way up, especially as this great migration is happening from people from the West to West Africa. Liz Z says, Haji, okay, it'll be great to see Sierra Leone content. I honestly don't know much about the country. Don't worry. I'll make sure there's plenty to know and plenty to see. You'll be seeing a lot of content from me in Sierra Leone. Be prepared. It's coming. It's coming. Blogs, videos, interviews, they are all coming. So be prepared for that. I'm really looking forward to that. And more content, more lives too. I'm planning to do more lives. You guys have been really helping me to kind of keep this thing going. Even at times when my channel was demonetized and all those other things that have happened throughout the lifetime of this YouTube journey, you guys have kept me really inspired and wanted me to keep going. There's a couple people who want to go live with me. I haven't gone live with anybody in a long time. Who's this? So back to... Wait. Okay. But K Nice, I don't know how to pronounce it. Can you tell me how to pronounce your name? But what do you want to talk about? If we go live, let me know what you want to talk about before we go live. I don't want to just throw you on the live. Let me know what you want to talk about. I'm definitely happy to go live with you. African Investor saying, great, Gambia. Okay, you're from Gambia. Great. All right. Any other comments or questions? Let's see. Alexi Tillery says, what does the solar market look like for people who want to put solar on their homes in Sierra Leone? Great question. So there's one major company in Sierra Leone. Easy Solar is probably the biggest, longest standing one. 3 people who went to Columbia University Business School for their master's degree decided to start it. One of which is, she's Ghanaian and South African, and the other 2 are non-Africans, or at least non-Sierra Leoneans. But the 3 of them came together and built this business. I'm actually going to be interviewing one of them and doing a tour of their facilities. There are also other companies like Exergy is another company where you can basically just pay them and you can go off grid. I just spoke to somebody the other day, my mentor, who told me they have a new plan for that. And then they also have other plans that you can buy as well. Orange Telecom also has a solar program that they've launched around West Africa, and they're trying to gain market share in Sierra Leone. And then there are other private companies and smaller companies as well. But there is a solar market for sure, just depending on what you need. And then there are other people who just straight up buy in Europe and ship it in. I have two cousins who bought in London and shipped their solar batteries and panels from London. So yeah, or London or China. But anyway, they ship them in from other places. Cool. All right, I think we're gonna call it a wrap, guys. Unless there are any other pressing questions. I got to be up really early, and I got a phone call I need to return, and some videos to edit, guys. So you guys have some content to see. All right, so that's it, guys. Okay, sorry. One thing, Kevin Briggs says, I'll keep you posted on how the Knicks do when we win the championship. Oh, Kevin, come on, Kevin. Listen, Kevin, I had always been a Knicks fan. For those, okay, if you don't want to hear about basketball, you can jump off the live, all right? I have been a Knicks fan. I left the Knicks and started following LeBron because I like watching the playoffs, and the Knicks kept exiting the first round or not even making the playoffs. I am happy to see that the Knicks are doing relatively well. You know, their stars are balling out of control, and it's been great to see. And you know, I myself have been proud of the Knicks' progress this postseason. But to say they're going to win a championship, you sound like every other Knicks fan I know. My friends, my boys in New York are always like, "This year is our year." That's the Knicks fan phrase every year. This year is our year. And it's been our year since 1970, 1973? Is that the last time the Knicks have won a championship? 11 years before I was born? I don't know. The last time the Knicks won a championship, Phil Jackson, the now retired Lakers and Chicago Bulls head coach, was an NBA player. That was the last time the Knicks won a championship. As a matter of fact, Phil Jackson was on that team that won a championship. Very unlikely that the Knicks will win a championship this year. But shout out to Tom Thibodeau. Is he still the coach? I don't know. Shout out to the Knicks. I don't know. Shout out to the Knicks. But I doubt it. All right. Seems to be some more comments that are not basketball related. Haji Ba says, Liz, buying land in Freetown in the future, always buy in the west of the city. There you go. Alexi Tillery says, thank you for the time. Of course, thank you for joining. Alexi also says, safe travels. Thanks. Phoenix Indigo, safe travels, smooth move. Thank you. Liz is saying it's great. Thanks to Haji for the tip. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. We will be back next Monday and every Monday, as always. And again, go back and watch the Creole lesson. You know what? Before you go, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to commit to watching the Creole lesson, which I am going to put right here in the chat. I want you guys to commit to watching the Creole lesson, and I want you guys to commit to watching the 10 updates and changes that have happened in Sierra Leone, because you guys have been missing that content, and I want to make sure you see it. So let me get this up and on here so you see it. I'm going to send you the link now in the chat. You guys can open it in a new browser and watch it immediately following this live. Okay, so this one here is the Creole lesson. This is the Creole lesson that I'm going to send you guys right here. And now I'm going to send you guys the updates and changes that you guys should be watching, because it's super important. So this is a follow-up to the 5 things I wish I knew before coming to Sierra Leone. This is the 5 updates and changes I wish I knew. So putting that in there. So make sure you guys open those in a separate link so that you can follow along. Okay. So Michael Esk. Okay. So really quickly, Liz Z says, "I'm a New Yorker. Our teams create stress. Yes, they do. All of our teams create stress. Yes." Michael S says, "How about South Africa cops?" Okay, there's a question about South Africa. Okay, I'll let you guys handle that outside. Can you talk about the police in South Africa? I don't know anything about the police in South Africa, to be honest. That's something I'll have to do some research on, but that'll be a conversation for another time. All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, if you know anybody who's planning to move to West Africa, anybody who's planning to visit Sierra Leone or move to Sierra Leone and want some context for what it might be like, make sure you share this with them. If you haven't already, subscribe. Make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure that everybody comments wherever necessary. And SA is so if you're asking about the police in SA, that's South Africa. SL is Sierra Leone, by the way. So the police in Sierra Leone, here's what I would say about them. They will stop you at checkpoints. They kind of beg for money, but you don't have to pay them. As long as you say good morning. You know, sometimes they'll check to see if you have a spare tire in your trunk. They'll check to see if your tags are up to date, if your license is up to date. They sometimes do that. But in general, it's really just like, and it happens here. It happens in Nigeria as well. Generally, people who don't want to deal with them, they just bribe them and go. I mean, if I'm being honest, that's just how it goes. If I'm just being perfectly honest, I mean, I'm just going to be real with you. This is how it works. But other than that, you don't encounter them. I would say my experiences with the police in West Africa, specifically Ghana and Sierra Leone, although annoying, have been much better than my encounters with police in the United States. And I will leave it at that. With that, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you all on the next